2025, buying a home is no longer about just being disciplined. 1998, if you were to raise a young family, buy a starter home in America at those interest rates, those price points, and the bills of that time. We're talking power, health insurance, tax, social security, your phone, child care for your kid, a used car, all those numbers. If you were to add all those numbers up in 1998, $2,636 a month, that's $31,632 a year. If I were to take the same metrics, median home mortgage, raising 2 kids, 2 used cars, gas in that car, insurance for the car, 1 bout of student debt, power, food, phone, health insurance, and taxes. Same numbers, 2,636 would be what you get in 1998. You know what it is in 2025? Those same exact metrics would bring you to a total of $7,368. $88,416 would be your yearly total to raise a young family in America. And you may be asking, what was the median income back in 1998? Well, I'll tell you, it was $38,885, meaning there was a surplus, $7,523. What's the surplus today? It's not. In fact, for the first time ever, 2023, 2024, and 2025 will be negative. And in 2025, it was $13,836 in the negative if you made the median household income and tried to raise a young family and raise up the American dream in your household. In 1998 and every year back to 1973, it was possible to raise a young family taking on the minimal lifestyle to raise up the American dream. Today, not even close.
So in this video, I'm actually going to be talking about something that I've mentioned before in some of the other videos I made recently. About the cost of living crisis in America right now. Now, as most of you already know, this is something a lot of people are struggling to cope with. We've seen videos upon videos upon videos. Actually, the thing is, at this end of the year, it's becoming a lot more, should I use the word awful or terrible for some people. In as much as some people are having the best time of their life, there are also people right there in America who are actually struggling.
In 2 months, it's going to become completely unaffordable to live in the United States. And I'm not talking about luxury lifestyle. I'm talking about basic middle-class needs. I run a relocation business out of Costa Rica. I asked my clients, who are a couple from Bushwick, Brooklyn, why they were thinking of moving abroad. They sent me their monthly budget spreadsheet. So combined, they make $120,000 a year. And from that, they get to bring home about $7,400 a month after taxes. Their rent is $3,100 a month. And their health insurance is about to skyrocket to $1,750. They budget about $1,000 a month for groceries. Their utilities, internet, cell phones, and Metro card are another $1,300 or so. So at the end of the month, this leaves them with about $250. And that doesn't include any unexpected expenses or the hope for investments or the hope for a savings account. So what they said to me is that this is what running in place feels like. And the reason that they want to move abroad is because they actually want to move forward with their lives.
We all know the cost of living is sky high, but the real problem is that the wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. If you look back to 1980, the minimum wage was $3.10. Adjusted for inflation, minimum wage today should be $12.75. Instead, it's only $7.25. If you look at the median rent price in 1980, it was $243. Adjusted for inflation, the median rent today should only be $955 a month. Can you imagine? Instead, it's sitting around $1,500, and the asking rent is about $1,900 to $2,000, which makes it even worse. And then the median home price in 1980 was about $50K. Adjusted for inflation, housing should only be, the median home should be around $197,000. Instead, it's over $400,000. But here's where it gets interesting. When you get to the median household income in 1980, it sat around $18,000. Adjusted for inflation, it should be around $71,000. However, it's actually sitting about $83,000. So we've seen about a 20% increase in wages, which you might look at that and go, well, that's pretty good. But here's where it gets interesting. The GDP from 1980 to today per capita has gone up 115%. So if wages would have kept pace with the GDP per capita, the median household income should be sitting around $150,000, which makes a lot more sense with the cost of living. Then if you tie it to productivity, it's gone up 135%. So if we would have tied the wages to productivity, the median household income should be $167,000 or $150,000 if we tie it to GDP or somewhere in the middle. So yes, wages went up 20%, but the GDP and the productivity blew up and the wages weren't reflected. But that 150 mark would solve the cost of living problem. If houses are 400 and rent's 2,000, who cares if the median family was making 150? It would all line up.
Americans are leaving the USA because they can't afford America anymore, making $100,000 a year, yet they feel suffocated financially because the price of things keep going up. They keep printing money and the wages ain't going up, all right? Matter of fact, there's job loss and there's cuts and all kinds of stuff going on. So once people leave that kind of environment and they go somewhere else and they realize life is supposed to be lived, it's supposed to be simple, it's supposed to be much more about enjoying your health and your family and your loved ones and your purpose and all of these things, rather than spending most of your life at work. What kind of a freaking life is it if you don't do what you love? If you do what you love, cool, man, knock yourself out. I do what I love. Most people, 80-something%, don't do what they love. They don't like their job, and if they didn't have to work their job, they wouldn't work their job. So I know if you watch this far, it's speaking to you. Maybe this is the sign you need to start doing some research to learn how to begin to devise your escape plan and live a better life. Because you know what? If what you're doing is not working, continuing to do the same thing, they call that insanity. You might want to book that flight. See you soon.
Let me put today's housing market in perspective for you. If you had a job making $3.60 per hour and worked a full-time job all year, you could afford a house where the median home price is about $23,000 to $25,000. Today, in order to have the same amount of buying power in buying a home that somebody making $3.60 in 1970 had, in 2025, you would have to make exactly $57.32 an hour full-time all year with no time off to maybe afford a home.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living. Here is a breakdown of the average Gen Z and millennials' cost of living in today's world. So number one is rent. Everyone knows that Gen Z and millennials have to have a roommate. So splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with utilities is around $1,500. If you have a car, a $12,000 to $15,000 used car is still going to run you $400 a month. Car insurance and gas is another $300. Student loan payment, $500. You're going to have groceries for $500. You're going to have personal care, doctor's appointments, hair, gym, about $150, and then cell phone and miscellaneous $150. That's $3,500 a month, which is baseline. Do you know how much $3,500 a month is? $70,000 a year, or $34 an hour. Because after you take out taxes, put $300 for health insurance, and do a healthy $500 401k contribution, that leaves you with $3,500. This is no fun, no savings, no maintenance, no clothes, no kids, no traveling, no vacations, no bachelor parties, no weddings, no funerals, no clothes, no school supplies, nothing. And this is paycheck to paycheck. And on top of it, they're holding $40,000 of student loan debt, a $15,000 car, and if they ever wanted to buy a house with closing costs and the down payments, another $50,000. So they need $105,000. So even if they were somehow able to scrounge up after $70,000 of paycheck to paycheck, $5,000 to go to a concert, to have avocado toast, whatever it is, $5,000 a year, it would take them 20 years to pay off this debt and save up for a house. 20 years of living with the roommate where that rent's going up, and they're making $70,000 a year as a college graduate. The average person in this country makes $50,000. It is not the overspending. It is a cost of living crisis.
Why is everything so expensive? Growing up, we were told you could go to college, get a 6-figure job, and that meant you would buy a house with that white picket fence, get a car, get married, have kids. That was the American dream, right? But then we got older and none of that happened. 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Houses cost hundreds of thousands to over $1 million. Grocery prices keep going up. Nobody can afford to have kids. And the United States has $1.6 trillion worth of student debt. The American dream was a lie. Even the idea of a 6-figure salary as making it isn't really true anymore. If you want to own a home and have kids, 0 of the 50 states make that possible to do with $100,000 or less. Even if you look up only the 3 states with the lowest cost of living, over $100,000 is required, and there is a $30,000 gap between the median income and what it would take to have that life. The American dream is dead, and corporate greed killed it because it didn't used to be this way. We used to have a growing middle class. We used to have housing affordability and a quality of life that was attainable for average working class people. So when did the American dream die? When did this idea of owning a home and having kids feel completely unattainable and unrealistic to an average person?
So I just got my hospital bill in the mail. And before I had a baby, I always wondered how much it costs to have a baby here in the US. I have pretty good health insurance, but this is the breakdown of my hospital bill. So the first thing was the room where I stayed at after delivery, and that was $17,760. Pharmacy, $55. Medical surgical supplies, $1,323. Non-sterile supplies, $2,437. Sterile supply, $50. Lab work, $1,484. Immunology, $450. Hematology, $1,098. Anesthesia, $615 for that nice epidural. Drugs required, $59. Delivery room, $20,395 for a whopping total. Oh wait, no, I missed it. I don't even know what the heck this is. $5,657, and then for a whopping total of $51,383. This is before insurance, and just as an FYI, there was no complications at all during my birth, natural delivery, no issues whatsoever.
America has a major problem on their hands, and that is money. People don't make enough money in this country to live comfortably. The majority of people don't make enough money to live comfortably. What does comfortably mean? It means just paying the bare necessities: rent, car note, groceries, what you need to survive and breathe. People are struggling, okay? Most people do not make enough money to not struggle. Okay, which is going to cause a lot of resentment and anger towards the current system. For example, in California, the state that I live in, you need to make $120,000 a year to have a comfortable life as a single person. You could look this up. It'll pop up on a simple Google search. Most people in California do not make that, and they are college educated, and they cannot make that amount of money. They're working 2 or 3 jobs, and some of them still can't hit that number. Okay, so what do we do about it? Because look, I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. I'm all about working hard, building brands and having no limit and being able to make, as much money as you want to make. But here's the issue. When most people are failing in the system, something needs to change. Now, I don't think capitalism is the root of the issue. I don't think it's that or that simple or capitalism that's what's causing it. I think the issue is we're not talking about what happened in 2020, okay? The pandemic happened. And after the pandemic, everything ballooned because of all the money that the United States government decided to print and cause mass inflation, okay? Everything skyrocketed in price. This is when you had the home crisis occur. This is when everybody got priced out and nobody could afford a home anymore. That's the situation we're in now, okay? Everything ballooned. And you know what didn't balloon? Salaries, minimum wage, and everything else.
8 out of 10 Americans couldn't save $1 this year, and it's not because people are financially irresponsible. Let's stop pretending savings is a discipline problem. It's not. It's a survival problem. Everything is up. Rent, food, utilities, insurance, interest rates, debt payment, everything except wages. People aren't failing to save. They're getting crushed by a cost of living crisis that's squeezing every last dollar. And the craziest part, most Americans think they're the problem, like they're the ones bad with money. But the system itself is the problem. Saving money is impossible when your rent jumps $300, your groceries cost double, your credit card interest is 30%, and your emergency fund is 0. Because life keeps punching you in the face. The new first step isn't saving, it's stopping the financial bleeding. Lower your interest, negotiate bills, rebuild credit, create extra income streams, then you can save.
Sometimes I just can't stand living in America. So I was watching this video on YouTube, and this girl was talking about how she moved from abroad back to America, and she was discussing how she wasn't able to find a place to stay and how hard it was to find a place to stay. And I'm like, girl, yeah. And she was talking about how her and her family were looking for an apartment just so they can move in before they end up buying a home. And they were looking at apartment prices, and a lot of the apartment prices were charging either 2 times the rent, 3 times the rent, and of course she was being extra dramatic, but she said 50 times the rent, and low-key, we know exactly what that means and exactly how that feels. And I believe that certain complexes that are out here are really overcharging people because they're trying to save their debt or pay their debt off. And then it dawned on me. I said, you know what? America is in some really pretty bad debt. And for you guys to make sure that our credit is good, your credit is effed up. So don't you think it's a bit hypocritical for you to sit here and ask me for at least 2 to 3 times the rent when I could go overbroad and they do not ask me for a W-2, check stubs, or anything of that nature? They just want first and second month's rent. Plus, that's it. And making sure that you are able to pay the rent, they're not checking your credit history or anything like that. Like, they ain't even worried about none of that. And it is so hard to find decent places that don't already check your credit history, which I completely get because you need to know, hey, are you able to pay me back? But we don't do credit history with other people because when it comes time for y'all to do something in some of these apartments, y'all take forever to fix anything. When it comes time to make sure that the areas are cleaned up, y'all take forever to do anything. But yet you want our stuff on time. And I know it's not just me, but y'all want us to be on time, but y'all ain't never on time for anything else. Make it make sense.
Okay, I just got done with Walmart. If you saw my video just a little bit ago about how much I spent for just 29 items. I had to use my credit card because I couldn't afford it. I'm a single mom. Come on, people. Trump, everybody, lower the grocery bills. We gotta eat. We gotta feed our kids. Come on. Really, take this seriously. Trump, the administration, anybody listening, please lower the grocery bills. We can hardly afford this stuff anymore. Thank you and bye. This is my rant for the day of Saturday. Bye, guys.
So I actually believe that there are some things that individuals can do about this whole economy stuff. And you know, the basic thing that somebody would say is to just you know what, just hope the government will someday make things better. But over time, since 2008, since the recession in 2008, everybody knows that the government is not coming to save anyone. So I believe that the change that anybody can get actually starts from you. I just finished. I recently just watched a video by Alex Mozi for people in their 20s and steps they can take to actually move their lives forward. Now, I don't know the demographics of this video. I don't know the kinds of people that I don't know the kinds of people that will be watching this video. But what I believe for the individual is to actually in the with the way inflation and everything, the best thing to do is to learn a higher value skill. All right, most people work minimum wage jobs. Most people work minimum wage jobs, and that's okay. But if you want something that will pay you more, you have to learn a higher value skill, not just a repetitive task like um working in what do they call it now, McDonald's. Right now, that's fine if that's what you have. However however, right, if you want something that would help you overcome this financial crisis that's going on right now in America, the best thing to do is to learn a higher value skill. All right, something that you can charge a premium for. Some of you are good writers. Why not write a book and then create content and sell your book online? All right, is there are a lot of things that can be done, even though we cannot um, we cannot reduce the inflation in whatsoever this economy is right now. The best thing to do is to increase your earning potential. All right, the best thing to do is to increase your earning potential, and the best way to do that is to get a higher value skill, a higher value skill, something that a lot of people will pay big for. Right, and you can also learn sales too. Right, some of you are good communicators. Why not learn sales? All right, you're able to convince people to get things that they need. All right, so you can learn a higher value skill like sales. Sales is one of them. All right, it can be, I don't know what it is for you. All right, it can be some of you are good coaches that you can just put your stuff out there and let people come to you, and you offer your services to them and they'll pay you for it. All right, so even as much as, since we cannot reduce whatever is going on in the economy right now, the best thing to do is to learn a higher value skill that can help you earn more. Alright, that's what I have for you guys in this video. See you in the next one, which will be in a very short time. Alright, peace.